Hey everyone. This is Lori Mueller coming to you on Wednesday, May 8th. May 8th. And it is my Sunday Stampin' Dreams that I delayed from this last Sunday. And I come from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I love to share what my passion is all about, and it's with stamps, paper, and ink. So welcome everyone. So glad to see you here. I am coming back from a bout of illness. I don't know what came over me. It's I think I'm all cleared up and I have less congestion and all that good stuff. So I should be back alive and ready to go. So hi everybody. Hi Linda. Hi Pamela. So good to see you. So I am focusing on a bundle. It's called the Hello Beautiful bundle that is available as a bundle with a 10% discount in our current mini catalog, the January through June mini catalog. Both items do carry over into our annual catalog, but they are no longer a bundle. So if after my project today, that you really need to get this bundle, you want to get it before the supplies run out for, well, they aren't going to run out because they carried over to the annual catalog. So still got a foggy head going on here, but you want to get it as a bundle with a 10% discount instead of waiting until July 1 when you have to purchase both the stamp set and the dies as individual purchases. So just a little tip right there. But this set has been super fun to play with, and I have used it for the dies. I used a lot of it for treat packages and cards. And then the stamps, I'm deciding today to create my own background. And I came across a color palette that I thought was striking, but this whole layout is something that you can apply a color palette that you have found and have fallen in love with. So if you find a combination of colors that you just think are absolutely gorgeous together, you can definitely make this work for that color palette. So, and then I'm bringing in some new, to me, product, the Gilded Leafing. I've had this product for a while, but I haven't played with it yet. And yesterday I had so much fun with it. I do have a lot of tips for you when playing with this Gilded Leafing, because it is pretty temperamental. I shouldn't say temperamental, because that just makes it sound like it's an ugly product, but it's not. It's just, it's delicate. I'll put it that way. It's very delicate and has to be handled with fine fingers. But other than that, the weather is great. I hope you're all doing wonderful. I've missed you, and I am ready to share my project for you today. So let's get flipped around. All right, so let me get it all straightened around. So if you're catching me live, you're going to see the red live button in your upper corner. But otherwise, if you find me on the replay, thank you so much for coming back and taking some time out of your day to see what I have to share with you today. All right, so we are playing with the Hello Beautiful stamp set. It is a photopolymer, and all of these fun shapes in here. You can use them. I'm going to actually use them in a couple of different ways. We're going to make our own designer series paper. Plus, I'm going to show how you can kind of highlight and bring more focus to one of these sentiments. So it's a very forgiving stamp set and just fun that you can do so much trial and error, and you might be surprised on the end result and how it turns out. So the dies are super fun as well, because you have a variety of shapes. You have your hexagon, you have some circles, and then, let's see, I know I've got some. So these are the shapes of some of these dies. I love the impression that it leaves on a couple of these dies right there. So you get a little bit of embossing. And then this is the smaller one with some of that embossing. And when I'm creating, I do a lot of trial and error and just start die cutting to see if that's where my taste is going. And if not, then I just kind of store it behind my sleeve right there and keep it in the pocket. So the next time I'm creating, you never know, just might need that, and it's already cut for me. So like I said, this bundle is available in our current January through June mini catalog, and it's at a bundled price of $42.25. But after July 1 comes around, this won't be a bundle any longer. They're going to break it up and it'll be sold individually. So if you're interested in that bundle, you want to get it before the July 1 comes around. All right, so today's card is featuring, oh, I need to remove that piece. I was going to finish that off. But this is my card. And look at that gilded leafing. Isn't that just gorgeous? Now you could use gold embossing powder, but gold embossing powder has a little bit more duller, if that's a word, which I don't think so. But it's not as shiny and striking as this gold leafing, and it is so fun to play with. And you're going to see, here's another new set of dies, the deckled rectangles. Oh my golly, look at the nice deckled edges on this set of dies, and we're using the largest one. So after we make our designer paper, I'm going to cut it down and add it to my card front. So I'm using Pacific Point, and my color palette includes Tahitian Tide, Granny Apple Green, Daffodil Delight, Petal Pink, and Mango Melody. And I see that my mango is not on my desk, but we'll get it here. So, and then how I was mentioning, we're making our own designer series paper, but then I'm also using it as a background to kind of bring more focus on the sentiment so that it's just not so humdrum, you know, Pacific Point and white. So, and then we brought in some elegant trim and some brushed metallic adhesive dots. And one of my favorite embossing folders, the stripes and splatters on a piece of vellum, just to add a little character and texture. Although we've got a little texture here, I thought the stripes were kind of a nice contrast and complemented the striped gold leafing that I had put on here. So this is our card, and I cannot wait to share it with you. All right, so today's supplies. Here are the dimensions and all of the items that I'm using for today's project. All right, and we are going to start with, I only need one of these. We have our card base, and then I've already die cut the hexagon for the out of Pacific Point, and I used the second to the largest piece, and then I used the largest circle. So those are the two that I have already pre-cut, and we'll set that aside. And I think we're going to start with our stamping first. All right, and I'm going to bring this piece in just because I'll do some stamping off. I knew I had two more ink pads that I needed, Pacific Point and Mango Melody. All right, so we're going to start with a piece of basic white that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I want it larger or the same size as my card front, because then we're going to die cut it down to fit, to give it, so I don't have to worry about what edges I'm trying to fulfill or anything like that. So I'm starting with my Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to do a combination of two things. I'm going to do some straight on inking, meaning the first rendition is going to go down on the cardstock. So I'm going to go about right there. And I like to give it a nice hold, because with solids, sometimes they get a little bit to the point where it might not be a solid. And I like to just see how I slowly lift that up. That gives me gratification that all my ink moved from my image to my cardstock. Now, I want to do a second rendition of this, but I need to avoid this section right here that did not hit my cardstock. It was kind of hanging in the air from the height of the cardstock, which isn't a whole lot, but it did not hit anything. So I want to make certain that when I do a second rendition, I don't stamp the whole image, because what you see is what you're going to get as a result on your cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and huff on this. But when I go to add the second rendition, I'm going to have this hang over the edge of my cardstock again. So I'm going to put that about right there. And then I don't have to worry about that ugly void other than something right there. See how that transferred over? Something on there was on my, I don't know, that was, but see, you could, it's kind of like kissing. It looked like I had something that I kissed on there, but I didn't. So we'll re-ink. And then if you wanted to, you wouldn't have to try and position your image to fit accordingly. You could just re-ink it, stamp off the whole thing, and then not have to worry about where to put it. But I was just kind of hitting two birds with one stone. So we'll do our second one right over here. And then, since I have the whole image here, I'm going to huff on this again, because there's still some ink on there, and I'm going to bring it down right there. And then you can still see a slight green, the granny apple green. All right, now we'll do another one over here. And then, let's see, I think we're good. I might bring a little bit of the corner that didn't get inked up right there. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to set that aside, and we'll bring in Tahitian Tide, and we're going to do the same thing. So bring in, and this is one of the new in colors. Just love, love, love. And let's see, I'm gonna, now some people have noticed that when they ink up their image, it wants to kind of bead. You see that little beading? What I try and do right away is ink it onto my surface, and then I'll hold it there, because a lot of that beading will blend and bleed into each other. So then you don't have to worry about it showing up on your cardstock. All right, so it becomes a nice solid. If you were to go really fast and stamp it and pick up, it may not give it time to bleed together, all those beads. And I'm gonna huff on that and give it a little bit of color over here. There we go. And if you want it to be a little bit darker, in fact, I might just do that on the next one. We'll do, And I'm going to overlap my colors. Now to give it a little bit darker Tahitian tide, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and then straight to here, because I'm not spending a whole lot of time transferring that blue. But see the difference of stamping off once versus letting it kind of hang out and bleed together. Then you don't have as much ink left on your image. All right, so we're gonna do one up here. Let's turn this around. There we go. And we're going to do, oops, I could have done it over here. We'll do right there. Okay, that looks good. All right, so let's bring in another color. We'll bring in some Daffodil Delight. And I'm using this image, and this one's kind of a mirror to the to this die cut. It kind of mirrors that. So if you wanted to use that, and I'll share with a sample on how I did that, and then just didn't end up using it. All right, so we're going to do a solid here. And I'm going to huff and come in over here. There we go. And then bring in color down there. So I hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy, because it is that time of year where crap is going around. Let's see, let's do like that. And let's kind of add some color across here. And let's see, I kind of got a void right here. Maybe I can add another. It's going to be kind of covered up with my sentiment, but just to avoid, I should have probably stamped off on that area, but that's all right. And we'll add color right there. Okay, now let's bring in some Petal Pink, and we're going to use, like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of an S. Looks like an S to me, but not when it's stamped, but when it's laying on the other side. And this one, I am just going to do a solid Petal Pink because it is a lighter color. I'm just going to use this one all the way across my image or my designer paper. So, and I'm purposely going over top of some of the other colors. And I'm filling in some of these white spots. Whoop. And this one rocks kind of easy, so you want to be careful. Let's see. Kind of looks like worms, doesn't it? Let's see. So we'll add a little color down there because I want to kind of distribute. Let's see. We'll add. Oh, I think we need one right over here. All right, now bring in Mango Melody. And we're gonna fill in a lot of these voids. And again, I am using full ink with my Mango Melody. And like that. And you know, this May not look the prettiest when you're first doing this, but in the end, after you add that gilded leafing, you don't even see all of the mess, basically. Let's see, let's add one right there. And I know I'm not going to be seeing some of these edges, but you never know, it might catch a little bit of a corner. I think let's add one right there. Okay, I think we're good there. So now, let's see, I want to add, how about if I add a little bit of, I think I'm going to do a stamped off version of Tahitian Tide up here. Just it looks like a void for me. There we go. A lot of white. There we go. Okay, I think that looks good. Now I can close these up because I don't want them to dry out. Hi, Jill. Good to see you. Hi, Shirley. So good to see you. How's planting season going for you? I know it's, my dad has got all of his fields planted. He got some help this year, which was really nice. He needs to kind of slow down a little bit. All right, so now the fun part. For the gilded leafing, it comes in a jar like this, and it is very delicate and it's very static, attractive, because it'll cling. And what I've seen some people do, they've taken this jar and put it in a much bigger container. But so far, I've been able to work right out of this. And you're going to need heat and stick. For this particular play with the gilded leafing, you need your heat and stick. And I tell you what, I've had this logo is going to tell you, this is an old container of heat and stick. I almost didn't find it, but I knew I had it somewhere. I just haven't played with it for so long. But what this does is it acts like a embossing powder, but it stays tacky. And that's what you need to hang on to this gilded leafing. So we'll have our heat and stick and then Versamark. And because you want the Versamark or the heat and stick to stick to the Versamark, and then we're going to heat it up. So we have the smaller images from this bundle. So to give you a visual, I'm using this one, I'm using this one, and this solid dot right there. So those are the images that I'm using because I wanted small. So that it wasn't, versus having one of these bigger images. All right, so now we have our Versamark, and now I'm going to ink up my images. Now the part that is going to be hard to see is where you have planted all of your images that you're going to with Versamark, because it's really hard to see where you've been after you've been there. So I want to kind of be strategic in kind of remembering where I'm at, and I'm just working my way down like that so that I don't lose track. And I want to purposely add some of these off the grid here. All right, so I got that one. Now I'm going to come in with these little multi-dots and try to avoid where I was with the stripes. And I know I want to go there. And actually with the way I have my lighting, I can actually kind of see the Versamark from the prior images. And then also, these small images will help me fill the gaps of white space. So I'm going to do that. And down here, kind of see where I've been. And we'll add one up here. All right, now I'm going to bring in a solid and do the same thing. I think I'm going to go on that white space and this white space. So this way, I'm giving, oh boy, now I've kind of lost track where I'm at. Well, we'll go right there. And we'll put one right there. All right, we'll call that good. And hopefully we'll get some good coverage on this. All right, so now we have our Versamark. I'm gonna bring in my heat and stick. And this is a powder, but it's a lot more crystallized. It acts like a fine, not like powdered sugar, but almost like a sugar. Okay, and you want to be liberal with it. Don't be shy. And you want to make certain you cover the entire. Make certain I get all the edges. And see where it's leaving off. So you can kind of see where I've added those images. And do a little tap. And this also helps you to determine if you want to add, I think I'm gonna add, we'll leave it. All right, I'm gonna set this aside where I won't be spilling it. There we go. Now we want to heat this up with the heat tool. And I'm gonna heat it up on high, but I'm gonna melt it on low so that I don't overdo. But this will, you'll see it all disappear like you do embossing powder. And you want to make certain you get it melted really good so that it's tacky for gilded leafing to stick to. All right, we're gonna move the fingers, Lori. There we go. Yay! Now I did have a little trial and error where the first time that I stamped my images, I didn't feel like I had gotten enough of the heat and stick. I didn't have enough images stamped. And so I did actually come back in after adding the gilded leafing and add more stamped, more heat and stick powder, and then more gilded leafing. So I don't know if that's what I recommend, but it worked. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of unbow this. So this is tacky right now, so you can see how I can pick it up. And these little sheets are very flyable. So I don't recommend that you do this project if you have high allergies to where you're sneezing, you're wheezing, you're coughing. Wait until after that cold or that your allergy medication has taken effect, because this gilded leafing is not forgiving. It will be all over your workspace. And then I like to take some of the extra and just tack it down. Now, some of these are nice big sheets. So I'm gonna cover up my long pieces first, because there's less that I have to do with placement. And then just use your tweezers to set it in place. And this is kind of it can be a little tedious, but don't let it get to you, because the end result is going to be beautiful. All right, so let's see if I can open that piece up and add it to. So the end result is covering all this sticky stuff with this gilded leafing. So let's get a piece here, open that up so I get more coverage with it. There we go. And then you just press it down. Cover up some of these little ones. Oop. There we go. Anybody who's planting or has planted a garden, are you getting produce from your garden already? I had a friend post that they've already gotten tomatoes and cucumbers out of their garden. And it's just incredible how, I wonder how early they planted their garden, but it's like, wow, to have fresh produce already. That's so awesome. All right, I know I got a tacky piece right there. Ooh, nice long strip here. There we go. So I'm going for all my long pieces, or the long image right up front, because then I can go back with little pieces to cover the little spots. There we go. Yeah, so because I got sick, I was not able to travel to Utah as my original plan, which I was so bummed. Oh my gosh. But my roommate was awesome. She found, well, we have another friend who at the last minute took my spot. You know, the flights were quite pricey, but you know, not all was lost. So she bought me out, so I wasn't losing out on everything, but I lost out on all the camaraderie and the networking and just the hugs. Oh my golly. All right, so get some of these. Oh, there's a double dipper right there. So you can kind of see we're progressing. So yeah, I've been to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I've been to Park City, went to the park there actually, and rode the luge, you know, that was used for the Olympics, which was, oh, there's a nice, kind of stuck to my finger. There we go. But hadn't been to St. George, and St. George is the same location where Stampin' Up! Used to host what they called Founder's Circle. And it's just beautiful. And yeah, so I missed out on all of that. One day we'll go back. or I'll go back. I don't know. It sounds like they might, that we might make this an annual thing, which would be so cool. All right. Take this piece. Oh, here's some tacky right there that didn't get covered. Yeah, you just kind of want to, oop, there's some tacky. Just run your fingers across the images. Oh, right there. And if it adds to your finger, it just makes you more beautiful. But no, it'll come off, so there's no worries there. It's not like a glue that you have to get some sort of solvent to remove. Oh, no, that's sticky, sticky. Stay there. Oh, there's some right there. Got all these big pieces. I don't want to get big pieces out here and then have to break them down. There we go. Try that. Oh. Come on, stay there. Oh, there's a piece right there. Steal from him. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a small piece in here. Oh, that's not very small. Where did I find that piece? Oh, right there. There we go. All right. Oh, tacky. Sticky. Oh, there's a little bit of... All right, I think I got them all covered. All right, so next, before I have a sneeze come on, I'm gonna cover this up. Otherwise, my whole table is gonna be full of gold. I'm gonna bring in a piece of paper and a brush. Now you can use, I just used a paint brush that has a little bit stiffer bristles. And I'm going to burnish the gold off of each one of these images. And I'm just kind of using the bristles to loosen up the gold leafing where it's not, where the image is not. You know, it's just the extra that's hanging over the edges. And you can use one of our blending brushes. You want something that's semi-soft so it doesn't peel off everything. But as long as you have it tacked down pretty good, you know, like that, you're not going to be picking it up with the brush. Now, because I know that there's lines in here, so I kind of get a little bit of aggressive, trying to open up those lines that are open. All right, let's kind of see where we're at here. Ooh, see how it flies? Just the slightest wind circulation. And this stuff is all over. Isn't it looking beautiful? And I just want to come in from my edges, kind of loosen up any of the gold leafing that is not tacked down. Like that. And you could do this with sentiments too. You know, if you have a good size sentiment or even a fine one, you could add gold leafing to your sentiment. And then instead of heat and stick, let's say you wanted to edge your piece. Add a little bit of gold leafing to an edge to kind of add a little pizzazz. Use your multi-purpose liquid glue and maybe even a sponge. You could kind of sponge it on like you're brushing on ink, and then add your gold leafing to that. So you can use liquid glue on that type of technique using the gilded leafing. So, all right. I think I want to get in between these lines because I know that there's an opening. Okay, I think we're good. So now I want to carefully, I'm going to pick it up and do some tapping. I don't want to kind of make this look like a fan because I'll have gold leafing all over. Here we go. All right. Oh, I must be waving my piece a little bit. Okay. All right, that looks good. Yay! All right, so I'm going to set that aside. And okay, so I'm gonna make a mess. I know I am. Get this in here and give it a little tap. There, not bad. Whew, all right. Set that aside. Got a little bit of it around here, but and it's all over my fingers, but that's okay. All right, so next up is to die cut this. So I took the largest deckled, and I feel like there we go. And I'm gonna just position it on here with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, or otherwise known as my big boss. And we will determine placement. Yeah, that looks good right there. And I'm going to give it an angle so I don't have that huge speed bump. And I do want to make certain I have this straight because of the, oops, wrong plate. There we go. Run this through. Yay! And there's our finished piece. Isn't it so cool? Now there's a little bit of loose gilded leafing. You can just clean all that off. It's just the static on there, but beautiful. Okay, so next we want to do our embossing of the vellum. And I love the stripes and splatters embossing folder. But of course, I wanted to get my stripes up and down, since on the gilded leafing, it was going left to right. So there's a way to do this to get full coverage on this piece. And I'm going to put in my vellum partial way, because I'll share with you, because if I do the whole way, then I'm broadening my spectrum on the second passing. So I've got my plate 1, my 3D embossing folder, and then plate 4. Oop, like that. So we're going to run this a second time. So we'll shift this over, and these stripes are forgiving, so I don't have to try and line up or fit into a groove. I can just find a groove that complements. Now here's where I said I should have probably put less in it the first time around, because look how wide my bed is now just to get this last part. But everything's fitting on there. So I'll run it through a second time. There we go. And no one knows that it wasn't a standard embossing folder. So you can still get full use out of your mini embossing folders. All right, now I think we are ready. Oh, we got to do some more stamping yet. So we want to do our sentiment, and I am bringing in, I'm going to use this image that was used for my Tahitian Tide. So I need to clean it off, because I'm going to give my sentiment a background of Daffodil Delight. I'm going to stamp off. So we'll do like that. And we're going to stamp off like that. And onto our circle, because this is going to help me bring my sentiment to life. And then just peel it off. See how the ink transfers? So fun. All right, done with that. And Pacific Point is our sentiment for the celebration sentiment. This calls for a celebration. So this could be a graduation card. This could be a retirement. Let's see. I want to do this way. And center that over top. Like that. And so here's another example of that one image that I mentioned, how it's like a duplicate or a mirror to it. So this is another way that you can use that bigger die cut for the same kind of thing. So give you an idea there. I got gold leafing everywhere. All right, with this one, we're going to glue directly to the hexagon. And line it up. There we go. And we're going to add some dimensionals. And I have a bunch of these mini black ones to use up. So we'll do that. And since my cardstock is a darker color, the black won't show through, which is really super nice. All right, now let's start adding everything to our card front. Burnish my Pacific Point, and we will add our deckled rectangle. our new designer paper to the front. So pretty. Can't even tell. I mean, it doesn't even look like the same stamped image when you add that gold leafing. All right, so now I'm going to add my liquid glue to the highlighted stressed areas of the vellum because it'll be less seen than if I were to go on like a solid, because you'll be able to see this liquid glue right there. So that should give it enough. And go about right there. And we're going to add some of our gold trim to the back side of our sentiment. So I'm just going to make a great big bow. This trim reminds me of what I used to wrap Christmas presents. You know, instead of those paper bows. I don't know if they're really not paper, but I would tie off tags and things with this kind of trim. All right, so make this a little bit smaller. We're going to add it with let's give it a little bit snugger of a knot. There we go. Add a glue dot. Oops, I suppose I should probably cut that off. I'm going to add the glue dot to the gold and attach it to the back side of my sentiment. So let's see where this lands. About right in the middle where the dimensional is. So let's move that dimensional. Here we go. Oop. There. Move it this way a little bit. And now we can plant our sentiment. Into place. Like that. Oh. And the final touch is to add some of these brushed metallic pieces. There's the gold, and it's a brushed gold, but I thought it still complemented the rest of the gold that was in here. And they come in two sizes. So I'm gonna add a large, and let's see, we'll go about right there. And there we have it. All done. And my thought with the trim that was left over is to add a piece of white, basic white, and then I'm going to trim off and add it as an accent to the inside card piece. So let's say if I had this cut down to side, I'm going to do like that. I'm going to actually trim off, because you don't want to waste it. It's so pretty. You worked so hard for it. And then I'll just trim it off and add that to my inside like that. How cute. Love it. All right, so that's a little tip for you on how to dress up and bring in whatever's left over from your cards. So this is the end result. And so you can see that the gilded leafing, I did a little bit more here than I did over here, but you know, whatever suits your fancy. and a little tip on how to highlight your sentiment, add color to make your own designer paper, and here's your finished project. So I hope you enjoyed this. So let's flip us around. And so I know that was kind of involved today, but you know, once you get used to playing with the gilded leafing, and you could even add this to any of our current designer series paper that does not have any gold accents to it. So you can even enhance on some of the floral images or even the geometrical designer papers that, you know, any of the patterns. So gilded leafing can be added to anything, even your cheeks. You know, so, but anyway, that is my card share for today. Again, if you would like to receive 4 card kits for free, 2 designs, 2 kits each of the 2 designs, place a $35 order in my online store using the host code that was on my surface, and I will send you all of the supplies to create those cards. There won't be any stamped images, so you'll want to be certain to purchase the Hello Beautiful bundle, or you can improvise and use something that's already in your stash. So, but thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Char. So good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. But until then, I will be back on Sunday, back to our regular Sunday Stampin' Dreams. And I have a new card project or another project to share with you. So glad to see you. Thanks for joining me. And if you're catching the replay, I so appreciate that. And I wish you all a great day. Bye, everyone.